Hey, everybody, this is Eric with the Drum Addict. We've got a very special episode of the Backbeat this week. I'm joined by some amazing, wonderful people. I've got Kelly from KMKanDrum, Mike Conway Drums, Ash Wells from Drums by Ash Wells, Martin Bellamy from MV Drums, Eric from Eric, because I'm going to slaughter your last name if I try to say it, from Eric F. Drums, and Joey Clark from Joey Clark Drums. You guys, you rock. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
This is so epic. This is beyond my wildest dreams. So we're going to do I wanted to do like a drummers round table, and we're going to talk about some drum stuff. We're going to talk about some YouTube stuff. And if there's a question that you're like, I don't really want to add anything to that, don't worry about it. There should be enough of us to comment on it. So we'll just jump right in. And just kind of a real simple question, and I've got them on my phone here so I don't forget. What's your favorite part about drumming for your YouTube channel? What do you dig about that?
I want first.
I could go. One, I think everyone would agree with, is just this community. Like, every time somebody new drops a cover, like all of us are on there supporting, watching, learning. Like if say you do like a cool fill or you add your own spice to it, it's like, damn, that was awesome. But the supportiveness of like the entire community, I think that's like one real huge like benefit to doing.
Yeah. Agreed.
I would say for me, it's just like, and I think I may have shared this with you when we talked a long time ago. It was just like having a historical document that my kids could see like what their dad was into and like what he loved doing. And because I feel like when my parents were gone, like I never had anything that I could look at that reminded me of like what they were into and like seeing it on video. And that's the reason I even started doing this. I just wanted like something that at some point in the future, my kids could be like, oh, that was my dad. He loved doing this. And that was sort of like what he was into. So that was really it. And that's what I like about it. And I also love the community and all the stuff that comes with it. But that was really mainly why I ever started doing this.
Yeah. I don't think I anticipated the community. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. And it was like this really cool bonus feature to even put yourself out there, was connecting, with so many people. Ash, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
For me, it gives my practice a sense of purpose. Like I've got to do a song a week. The great is choosing the song, finding the song, learning the song. If I didn't keep the channel going, I don't know if I would play as many songs.
That's a good point. Yeah, it does keep you focused on. Of course, I don't do a cover a week, so I can't talk about that. But what I like about it is it's a chance to kind of dabble. Back in the day when I was first learning to play the drums, I mean, I would have to record my drums on my dad's business tape recorder for like recording meetings on cassette tape. I'd set it over in the corner, and then I'd play my drums, and then I'd go back and rewind it and listen to how it sounded. And of course, it sounded terrible. I think what's cool about YouTube is, it's kind of a chance to dabble in like pretty much professional video and audio quality, studio quality stuff, as a hobbyist drummer. For me, that's really cool. It's like there was nothing like that when I was younger and playing the drums. You played in like a garage band or whatever, and it never sounded anything like the recordings you heard on the radio or on your records and stuff. But now it's like you can get pretty close, and I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's just obviously a learning curve involved in doing that, but I think it's fun that all that technology and all that cool stuff, high-end quality production stuff is kind of available to people who just want to tinker in it. And I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
totally agree. Yeah.
Well, I'll go. So one of the things I really like about it, I used to go to the Modern Drummer Festivals in the early 90s, and it was just all drummers that would come from all over the United States. It happened in Montclair, New Jersey, at the university there. And so it reminds me of a worldwide modern drummer festival where everybody is just supportive of what they do, drummer wise. But it's kind of neat. I started reaching out to bass players and guitar players and trying to get a different crowd as well, just to see. And then maybe I might want to collab with this guy too. And so I started doing that as well. Just kind of, it's great to connect with drummers, but I think to get out of that is also cool. But getting back to my original point, it's like just one world, big world of drummers, and everybody supports each other. And that's really just, in my opinion, that's really awesome. Because I feel that's the difference between drummers and other musicians. There's a different kind of support that drummers have for each other. So that's one of the best things about what I found when I uploaded my first video, thinking I'm not getting one video or not one view, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, there's another aspect to this that I didn't even realize. So that was cool. So
awesome.
Yeah, I think all you guys hit it right on the head. I think when Eric said that he started for his kids and whatnot, that's kind of how I started too. When my wife first got pregnant, I was like, oh yeah, like I wish that there was something that I can look back on and see my grandparents and my parents, and there's really nothing that we can really look back and just being able to take advantage of technology and leave something for future generations. That was like the main motivation. It still is for my YouTube stuff, but like everyone said the same things that I've felt too, is the community. Ash, she's saying about not playing as much, I try to do a week as well, once a week, and I definitely wouldn't stick to that schedule if I didn't have the YouTube channel. So everyone, I'm just echoing the sentiments. It's all the same thing. Yeah, it's just great to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
What's crazy too is like none of us really even know each other, right? But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I know a lot about most of you that so it's just really cool how even though like we really don't know each other, I think we really do. I mean, so it's amazing how this is like taking like the core, at least that core group of like YouTube drummers, which I hate that freaking moniker, but like it's taken like this core group of people, and like I feel like I have to remind myself, oh, I don't really know this dude. Like I just feel like I do because we've spent so much time and conversation and stuff over years that it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we're all kind of going through the same thing too, right? We've got that same grind of editing the videos, editing the sound, like putting it all together, promoting it as much as you can, and then moving on to the next one because you got to keep everyone thirsty for more.
And have you guys found like the group to be helpful? I know that like Ash has helped me with some stuff, Martin's helped me with some mixing stuff. Have you found the same kind of thing with others?
Well, you're my number one logo guy. I'll come to you with a logo.
Even if you don't need one, I'll make it.
I need a logo.
That's funny. That's awesome.
I think the thing that helps me is I look at some other videos, right, and I'm like, shit, I have to up my game. Like I don't know, like I just see some of the stuff that Ash does, like the production of like all the he's just got all this stuff, graphics. I'm like, oh my god, like that's got to be a full-time job. That's why I put out a video like every 3 months now, because I've just given up. I'm like, I can't do this, But yeah, like you guys just are very far ahead of like in how much thought and effort I think goes into your videos. That always reminds me that like you guys really spend a lot of time on this stuff.
I haven't done a lot of reaching out to other drummers to tap their brains on certain things that they do to get their sound and everything. But I mean, from what I understand, everyone in the community is real open to that. So I mean, if you are really digging somebody's video or sound or something, and you just kind of hit them up on Messenger or whatever, connect with them and just say, hey man, I just I love it. How do you do that? Most people are willing to share anything that they learned, because I mean there's a big learning curve. When I go back and look at my channel, the early videos, and then compared to the ones now, it's just some of that stuff is like sort of cringeworthy, the early stuff, before I knew anything about it, so I think from what I understand, like I said, I personally haven't really done that, but I think, I would encourage anyone who's getting into it and, to just reach out to people that you admire or you really dig what they're doing, and they'll give you, they'll always want to help. I think that's the way the community is. It's such a great resource and set of colleagues and friends that you just wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah.
What's funny is so many people reach out and they're like, dude, how do you get your drums to sound so good? And I'm like, I plugged it in. Like, that's it, literally. I don't have
looking like a true drummer.
I don't have like a DAW or like mixers or like software. And I'm like, I think people overcomplicate like how they get their sound. I'm like, just get a great module, get a kick-ass drum set, plug it in.
You got the most top-end module that's known to man. So
I'm just like, just don't mess with things. Like, too much is too much. So I don't know. Like, that's the question I get all the time. And I'm like, literally, I'm not the guy to ask how I get my sound. So I'm just flipping a button, it's turned on, and that's it. You know,
that was our first exchange too. I assumed because it looks like an acoustic kit.
Yeah.
And I was like, how's he getting such a clean sound? And then you were like, I just plug it in, and I'm like,
yeah. You might have been one of the first people to actually ask me that. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
And that's a good point too, because I mean the e-drumming is different than the acoustic, obviously. So I mean,
yeah,
you know, acoustic drummers, I'm sure, have a lot more of variables and factors in getting a sound. You know what I mean? It's with the e-drums, you know, there's a USB, and then you know you can sample MIDI or you can just record from your module. I mean, there's really it's much simpler, but I mean, acoustically, you guys, I'm sure know if you factor in the different microphones, the different placement of the microphones, the acoustics of the room you're in. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, that just seems like definitely hit up the other people in the community if there's something you're digging, and you know, they'll, I'm sure, share some of their insight on how that's done.
I'll tell you, the name that springs to mind when I hear about acoustic wiring and sound is you, Martin. Oh. Like we did an interview a week before.
Yeah.
You gave me a behind the scenes to your setup, and it blew my mind. Not only because I'm an e-kit player, I don't need this stuff. Yeah. It was like, oh my god, this is epic. So you are the man when it comes to the sound engineering, sir.
It's it's a spaghetti factory in here with how many cords I have going around. But yeah, I was gonna say Joey knows this too. It's just like you got mic on the hats, mic on the top snare, bottom snare, outside the bass drum, inside the bass drum, 2 overheads, maybe 1 room, another room over the far side, like all the toms, close mic'd, and then you got to mix them all, volumes, everything. It gets to be a lot. So yeah, reaching out to you know, others in the community has been, I've done it, and I know it's been a huge help too. So
yeah.
Do you guys have dudes that like stand off camera holding like a boom mic for you?
You got some grips. You got 3 grips and
Greta holds a camera.
Yeah.
I don't know if what she would say if I was like, "Can you hold this microphone too?"
Do it, man. Give it a try. You know, it's like
that could be cool. Yeah, have it move all over the place.
Yeah, man.
Man, it's like your drums are like moving around, like pan it as it goes. Well, in dealing with YouTube drumming, one of the things that I think we've all been doing this long enough to have experienced, and I imagine that the responses to this will be pretty short. But have you gotten any like negative comments, and how do you deal with those, like physically, like interacting, and how do you deal with it mentally?
I love them. I don't know. Really, I do. I love them because I'm kind of a smart ass. So like, I like those coming in. So for me, it gives me a chance to play around with somebody. Yeah. But I don't really pay much attention to it. I love it, but it is fun.
Fortunately, it's been a while. It's been a while since I had any. What I'm doing at the moment, I have had a few on Facebook recently. I just hide them. The solution for me now, don't react to them at all. They disappear. They go away. When it has got worse for me is when I've replied and it's made the situation worse. So that's what I've learned from it.
Yeah.
If you want, let me reply for you.
Yeah.
Well, here, Eric, will you handle this?
Joey, first of all, no one's gonna dare give you a negative comment. They're gonna rip their ass.
I just play. I kind of do what Eric does, which is just play around with them. So I used to get mad. I used to go like full rock WWE mode, and just keep going. And then I was like, And then the guy's like, he's like 60. I'm like arguing with an old man. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to do this anymore. So the last comment I got was somebody told me that I desperately needed a metronome. And I said, thank you very much. I think I have one around here somewhere. And then I just left it at that. And so it's not really worth arguing with somebody that sometimes you don't even know if they're real people.
Yeah.
it might be completely a fake, just to get you riled up. But I find that you could get completely angry and then let it demoralize you. But if you just, like everybody, I think seems to just either hide them, delete them, don't respond to them, or just kill them with kindness and a little bit of sarcasm and move on.
Yeah.
I had one recently. I forget what video it was, but I was wearing drum gloves because I'll do like a full weekend, like 8 hours a day. And like my hands are going to be wrecked by the end of it. So the comment was cute gloves. And I just responded, thanks, babe, with a heart.
Like gloves will always get a
That's
comment.
funny.
Yeah, gloves will always elicit a comment. It happened to me a few years ago.
Yeah.
One time I wore gloves.
That's funny.
Man,
That's a great response. I love it.
I
usually
haven't really gotten too many bad comments, but what I don't like are the dislikes, because you don't know who gives them, and you can't really, like, what do you dislike about it? I want to know. Like, give me the bad comment. I actually like the bad comments because it's kind of, if there's a point to it, then you reflect and look back on yourself. And then if there's no point to it, then they're just kind of trolling. But a dislike, you're kind of just like wondering what's going on.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the comment. If it's something really kind of snarky, and I can't one up it and come up with something even smarter to reply, I'll just delete it. And usually, I mean, when I delete them, it's like they just go away. They've never come back after I've deleted it or anything like that. So I mean, it always sucks, and it always kind of brings me down when you get one of those. It's like, even though it's probably just some, it's like some person just trolling and didn't even watch the thing, and it's just messing with people. But I don't know. I just my ploy is I just delete it. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes they want you to, they want to stir you up, and if you reply, you're just playing right into what they want you to do. I feel like it's just like, it's just as easy as just going there and delete the thing.
And it's never
or just insert a mama joke.
Yeah. Thanks, Obama. It's
on occasion I'll pin it to the top.
I have done that. You're right. Yeah.
That's good.
If it amuses me, then shit, it belongs right up there.
That's awesome.
Well, and if they were at least like helpful, like if somebody's like, that was a sloppy fill, I'm like, yeah. So what would you suggest? But I also know that, like, guys like you all, sorry, it's telling me to upgrade my Zoom. I could reach out to any of you guys and be like, hey, listen to this cover. There's this fill at this spot. It's sloppy. What, other than just playing it over and over again, are there any things I can do to practically to improve this? And then I can get some constructive feedback. And that's always helpful. Unfortunately, the comment that made me the most mad was somebody said that I had cross-dresser eyebrows. And I was like, what does that even mean?
What does that mean?
What, sorry, I have a medical condition, everybody.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I saw that. I remember that.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Oh, man.
Now I'm gonna have to Google that because I have no idea what that even means.
Anyways, anybody else on that, or is the general rule like just pretty much like either say something to be done or don't engage?
Yeah.
And they never have drum videos up either. I see them. If they criticize your drumming, they don't typically have anything up.
Yeah.
So true. Yes. Yeah, because I always go to look. Immediately go look.
Yeah.
What do you got going on? And then
this channel has no content.
Nothing.
Yeah. So this channel has no content.
One subscriber, no content. Oh, you just have an account to go around and harass people that that are doing their best. I love it.
Yeah.
So do you find that it's where did my question go? When you approach your channel, are you guys approaching it more from a personal growth and enrichment, or from a channel growth standpoint? What motivates you the most with your channels?
Me, I would just say I don't speak for everybody, but I think it's the personal. I set like personal goals for myself, and that's kind of what my channel is. It's like if there's a song that I absolutely can't play, I'll sit down and just start trying to figure out how I can play it, and that can take 6 months or But I mean, that's just what I like with my channel. It's a great medium to kind of you can do test recordings of yourself and kind of look back and then you kind of see where you're at. You can see where the weak points are and stuff like that. So that's really what I mean, obviously everybody likes to have subscribers and followers and people that like what they do. And that's always a motivation as well. But really for me, I try to challenge myself with like, man, I've never been able to do this or that, like a double kick thing or something, and so it's like, I want to learn that new skill. I'll just set out to do it. And then when I finally can get it nailed, and then I make the video, and that's kind of satisfying for me with my channel. But I don't know. What does everybody else think?
The reason I started my channel, I learned the drums for a year, pretty much every week, one drum lesson every week. And then I started the channel to show, okay, I'm telling everybody I play the drums now. That's always been at the very core of my channel, is my progression. I think if you look at every year, if you just cover from every year, you can probably see that. At the same time, I've then grown the channel with the extra stuff I do. So it's kind of developed, but at its very core, it is very much about me as a player. I think I'm going into my 5th year as a drummer and my 4th as a YouTuber, I think.
Cool.
Can never remember. It's been too long now.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's right.
For
I'd
me,
say the
it's
same thing. Yeah.
definitely personal growth. If you watch maybe my first 10 or so videos, and then my last 10 or so videos, the sound and the video and all that stuff is like, it's night and day, the difference. And I think that's when I started, I thought that I was doing a pretty good job. And from where I started to where I've gotten now, it's like a total 180. So I didn't know when I started that it would be a personal growth type of thing. But now that I've come so far, it's definitely personal growth. And I don't know why I started the channel other than documenting for my kids and all that. But the YouTube, the channel growth kind of was just like a cherry on top. Like I've never really done anything to try to grow the channel other than just me documenting myself growing personally.
Yeah. On another note, like I agree and I'm on the same page as everyone else. Like the personal growth, it's like I do this because it's so much fun. But then sometimes even going back to those negative comments where you're like, that just fuels it. You're like, oh yeah, you want to see something better? And then it just like drives you in the next cover.
Yeah. And then you're doing well when somebody steals your drum audio.
Cover of a cover in a cover.
That was awesome.
My favorite video ever.
I forgot about that.
So good.
It's not lip syncing, is it
So
drums?
good.
What is that? What do we call it?
Yeah, it's a new subgenre.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
I'm not a real drummer, but I play one on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that definitely
Very
lights
funny.
like it's like a weird like that drove me for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, let's just get back to having fun. We don't have to go that hard.
The best was how you went back in and put in the audio that it would actually sound like, and you
Love
matched it up
that.
with all the stuff he was doing on the That was great.
Like
This had to
5
take
hours of-
forever, but it's freaking awesome.
That was probably one of my favorite responses to any kind of negative thing that's happened to anybody in our community is the way, and I know that it took a lot of time for you to do that. And I was watching it. I started it again. I was like, Loretta, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Watch this. We were so entertained by the whole thing.
That was good, man.
Oh man, yeah, drama sells, I guess. So
yeah, for sure.
It was like watching like the JFK assassination, where like you have like the Zapruder films, and you're like dissecting everything that happened. Like it was crazy the length that you went through to sort of bring this together.
yeah,
Crazy.
That's funny. So what do you guys do to personally like improve your drumming? in your rehearsals? What does that look like? Even if you're preparing for a cover, what do you do to continue to improve?
You know, I shoot every one of my practice sessions just in case, even if I'm not going to make a video out of it, because like what you're hearing while you're playing is 100% different than when you play it back, and you can realize where you were dragging or rushing, or where you know were repetitive and fills. So even if it's not like the one I'm shooting to make a video, like I'm always going to record it just so I can get a sense for like what does it sound like to someone else.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, you know, I would encourage, you know, anyone who, you know, can just to film or record your practicing when you're playing through a song, you know, because it is one of those deals where like in your head you think, man, I freaking nailed the heck out of this, and then you go back and listen to it, it's like it's way off, you know, and you don't really realize it. You got to look at it from a third person perspective almost, and then work on the areas that you're, you know, that you're a little bit weak on, that you don't even realize you're weak on until you do that. So that's an important step, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
I still have weekly drum lessons. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. And for me, he sets me targets every week. So like it forces me to play. Like, you know, he's my mate. He's going to give me a bit of a bollocking in his funny way, but it's a waste of money if I do not practice and have drum lessons.
Yeah, that's a good motivator.
I usually pick one thing a week to work on. Like lately it's been different paradiddle, just rudiments. But then I've been working on wrist strokes and finger strokes and doing it for 10 minutes. So you start like with 8 notes at 100 beats per minute, then you go to doubles and then quads, and then you repeat that. So you do that with wrist strokes, and then you do it all with finger strokes, and then you do eights. So 8, 8, and then 8 together, and then 16th notes, and then try and bring up to 150 beats per minute with the goal trying to get to 180 beats per minute straight. But I'll tell you what, since I've been doing that, like, because I want to get better at blast beats, and that's all finger strokes, it's getting just the way, just playing around, and even just throwing, because I'm a righty, but I want to get better at throwing my left hand into fill, or starting with my left hand. And just by working on that stuff and then switching, so sometimes I'll start with the right and then I'll go to the left and go back and forth. That's just helping me just move around the kit a little more, where I don't have to think about it. Like I'm just throwing that left hand in there to start without having to say, oh, I want to go left, right, left, left. Yeah. It just automatically goes into it. Yeah. So that's something I've been working on. And then I'm trying to get better at my double kicks. So just throw a metronome on as slow, and it's all about speed and endurance, but you got to get the endurance first, and the speed will come later. So just do it for as long as possible. And it's boring. I almost did the F word. It's really boring. Yeah. But just keep adding, like, even if it's 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beats per minute, until you get to that speed where you can just do it and don't have to think about it. So it's like muscle memory, just like working out with weights. It's a muscle memory thing. So if you can get that ingrained into your body where you don't have to think about it, it just becomes a lot easier. But I feel by simplifying everything and going really right back to the basics of how technique, that's tremendous on what my playing has become a lot. I don't have to think about it as much as the way I'm thinking about it. So yeah. So there you go.
I fully agree with that. Like I use a metronome app. Let me see. It's called Metronome Beats, and it can you can set a time duration. You can set it'll increase after every minute, 10 beats per minute, whatever. Yeah. And I just use like a practice pad. I don't even use pedals. I'll just use my feet on the ground, because you'll know if you're off, because you can hear everything so clear, right? Like if you're on the kit, it's loud. There's a lot of just like you can hit like however many cymbals you got, whatever. But if you're just there with your hands and your feet, nothing else, working on, say you're doing like paradiddles, I would do that, but I'd also keep the feet matching the speed, just doing singles on like over top of that. And just, 30 minutes, like every day, every other day. If you got some time, just that's one thing that I do in terms of like an actual practice routine. Mix up the hands, doubles, paradiddles. I don't really go too far into like threes. I don't know what they're called, like triplets or whatever. But yeah, that, or this is another thing that I've started to do is that I'll just like toss on a random genre of music and then just improvise on top, like see if like find a beat that works, keep that going, and maybe like do a fill, like do it backwards or something, or try something just a little bit out of your comfort zone, so you can then bring that into, if it sounds great in that, you can bring it into like what you're comfortable with, and maybe it'll work. I don't know. It's all about having fun and exploring. So
yeah, that's good too, man.
Eric, this is where the shirt comes in. I don't practice at all. I'm hearing all you guys in your practice methods. I'm like, oh, I should be taking notes, because I really don't practice. It's crazy. The only time I'll ever practice is I'll have a cover in mind. I'll sit down and I'll play it like maybe 3 or 4 times. And if there's a fill that is stumping me, then I'll actually like kind of dissect it. But other than that, yeah, I've done all my practice back when I was a teenager, playing on the drum pad and whatnot. And yeah, so I got to learn from you guys how to practice better.
Yeah.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa.
Oh,
hey.
We were just talking about what we're doing in our practice time to improve ourselves as drummers. And Kelly, you were talking about working on the next cover, and I find that that's so easy for me to like get into just working for that next thing. So my improving is in that very small window here. And then when I started playing with this local artist and we were doing different stuff, I was like, oh, I need to tighten some things up, And so I'm trying to incorporate like 15 minutes with the click track, like into my routine, just to shore up my timing and stuff. Because it's funny when you're playing with a song, or for me anyway, I feel like, if you get way off, you can tell, but like if you're pushing and pulling just slightly, like, Eric said, sometimes you don't know until you hear it back and you're like, oh, that wasn't nearly as on as I thought it was. But I find that doing that like even helps me when I'm playing with a track or when I'm playing at church and I don't have a metronome in my ear, because my body's getting I'm getting used to locking into wherever the tempo is set, that helps me. And I feel like I'm improving, but just playing all the time, like I think helps. I think a couple of you guys talked about your first videos versus where you are now, and for me, it's like not just audio wise, but I feel like I'm playing at a better level than I was, 4 years ago,
Hey, Eric, I was gonna say, by the way, if you ever want to see like those kinds of screw ups, like rushing and dragging and getting off and whatnot, in any of my videos, if you ever see like a cool video effect or some cool footage being spliced in, that usually means I screwed something up and I want to make sure that I take people's attention away from it. So like something cool will happen to divert your attention. That's my fix, by the way, and I'm not kidding. If you ever see that, you'll know.
That's the cat's out of the bag.
That's it. Awesome. Be totally honest.
I'm gonna find one and timestamp a comment.
Dude, you'll find one in every video. You'll find one in every one of my videos.
Awesome.
Ash is going to troll you now, Eric.
Please do.
But it's fine. He's going to ignore. Actually, no, he doesn't ignore negative comments.
No, I don't ignore. I respond. I love responding.
That's funny. Anybody else?
Vanessa? She doesn't know what the question is.
Yeah, she doesn't know what the question is.
Vanessa, what do you do in your practice time to better improve you as a drummer, from time to time?
Yeah, so I usually choose a few songs. I just start jamming first, and then I'd be like, okay, I need to work on my bass drum technique. I need to work on the hi-hat stamping. I need to work on soloing, and I try to implement it in the songs. And then when I found a section where I know, okay, it's a bit shaky here, then I go and take the metronome. And then it depends on if I'm working on the micro time or the macro time. For example, I set a click where I have 1 bar click, 1 bar not. and then I'd be like just 20 minutes doing all the time again. And yeah, that's basically how I work my way through. And then I leave that for now, go to another song, find something else I can practice in that song, and that's how I work my way through.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
I'm taking notes.
You guys all practice way more than I do.
Oh, is that what you were doing, Kelly? Taking notes?
I saw Kelly.
As she was saying that, I was just thinking in the back of my head, I think she's way better than I am, because what she's saying sounds like stuff that I've never thought of.
Yeah.
Because,
a lot of
I'll
times,
go back to my my drum set now and just cry.
I mean, seriously, a lot of times if I'm working, depending on what I'm working on, if I'm working on maybe 2 songs that are like I said, they're way out of my comfort zone, and I don't even have those skills yet. When my practice time is literally just trying to play sections of those songs. So I'll take like the guitar solo section has something going on that I just can't get. I'll just take that part and put it end to end on a loop and just 15 minutes straight. My wife probably it's got to be the most boring practice anyone's ever heard. But it's like, that's the only way that I can learn some of this stuff is, I just got to force myself to either slow it way down and you just start real slow and then start adding the speed. But really, that's my practice in most cases. I know all the rudiments and all that because I took drum lessons way back when, but I don't usually do those things like you did, Joey, where you're doing I'm sure that's great for your skills. And, I just, all my spare time practicing is just, I gotta learn this freaking, these 16 measures of this guitar solo where this stuff is going or whatever, I make exercises and practice exercises out of the songs I'm trying to learn, essentially, I guess is what I'm saying.
You should pick an easier band than Van Halen. Maybe that would work out for you.
Yeah.
I've thought maybe I'll try a Van Halen cover, and then I listened to Van Halen. I'm like, no, that's wicked hard.
Yeah, there's no point to do Van Halen, dude. He's covered he's covered all that ground.
I would never be able to get out of the headspace of I won't do this as good as Mike.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't want Mike to see this.
Why did Eric block me from his channel? He didn't want to see. He didn't want me to see his Van Halen. That's funny. So, if you guys had to pick one drummer, I know this is hard to narrow this down because usually we have multiple influences. If you had to pick one drummer that influenced you the most as you started playing, who would that be?
John Bonham for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Bonham, yeah.
For me, it would be Neil Peart, just because, at that time he was bringing to rock drumming. It sounded like he was on a whole nother level, at the time, when that Fly By Night album came out in 78 or whatever it was, it's like at that time, there were some good drummers, rock drummers, but it seemed like he was just bringing like rudiments and just all this proggy, intricate stuff to the rock format. And it was just like, it blew my mind at the time. And really, I haven't even done a Rush song, I haven't covered a Rush song on my channel, but really that was a major influence, at least on my drumming at that time, because that's right when I was learning to play the drums. And then I heard that, and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta practice. It was just like,
I got work to do.
It was kind of mind blowing, really.
I would say Neil also, but and going, with what Mike said, like it's I've never done I play Rush songs all the time here, but I've never put one on my channel because it's way too freaking polarizing. Like I just don't want that level of scrutiny that people people who are Rush fans are freaks, right? Myself included. Like this is not accurate, and I don't want any of that. So, but I would say like the guy who most influenced my playing, because I don't play like Neil, I would say is Nico McBrain from Maiden. Just like the whole like this galloping sound he's got, and like the stuff he does on the ride, and like he's just, and to me, I've loved that sound since I was early high school probably, and just I've always loved Nico McBrain. I think he's just an amazing drummer.
Yeah.
And he does everything with one kick, one
amazing.
pedal, which I don't do. But it's just amazing to think the guy is doing this stuff with one foot.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's a tough question because I have like 4 lined up, but if I had to choose the one, the like, I'd have to be John Bonham, just because like, yeah, that's the first one where you're like, you had to re-listen. You're like, wait, what? The drums in this song sound so incredible. And you're like, I need to learn that. Or like the double kicks, or like the Bonham triplets, all that stuff. I gotta say one more. Steven Adler from Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. It was such a groove, but it was hard hitting, and like didn't overpower the music. Like I feel like that's another top drummer, at least for me, because then if you can swing a rock song the way he did, like bravo.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel mine's pretty stereotypical of my generation, which is Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, of course. Now, if I asked you all when was the last time you properly cried, you probably wouldn't be able to remember it. But I tell you, the day I cried, Taylor Hawkins dying.
Really?
The last time I cried, for real.
Oh,
Yeah, still heartbroken. Still find it hard to listen to their music, but yeah. Lefty left us his music. So.
It's amazing how people we don't know at all, we can feel connected to through their artistry. That's amazing to me. And then feel that impact internally when they go. It's amazing the kind of connection that they make. Who else?
I cried last night, by the way, when I saw there was no more Christmas cookies. So that was last night.
Very similar.
Kind of bummed. Yeah.
It's all relative.
I got to be kind of biased. I got to go with family. So my uncle was Carlos Vega. So he's at the top of my list. And he was in a group with all the other LA session drummers. So like Jack Picaro, Vinny Caliuta. All those guys were all around. So yeah, that's where I get my influence from. And
damn.
Yeah, that's where I learned how to play drums.
Holy cow.
You're like, I don't want to brag, but my teacher, crap, that couldn't have come up 40 minutes ago, I guess, right?
I just want to lead in by saying my uncle was.
No kidding.
What about you, Vanessa?
I probably go with Benny Greb because like he's an entertainer. He can do like every genre. He's just like a crazy guy, and yeah, but also I want to go with Mr. Sugarfoot himself. So
That's awesome.
He is incredible.
Yeah. There is I think I just posted a clip of him, and I hope I'm not getting my drummer names mixed up, where he was talking about serving the song. Like he's like, chops are cool.
I think I saw that on Facebook or something.
I thought it was a really good thought, and it's because you do see, I think it's like on YouTube too, you see a lot of people with really like these crazy chops, and those are cool. And that was kind of his point was, but does it serve the song? And he can play all that stuff, but like he's made his career serving the song and serving the artist. I thought that was really, really cool to hear somebody say that, and
of that like level, right?
Yeah. Here's a name that I want to throw out and get you guys' thoughts. You guys know that I grew up listening to like a lot of like Christian rock music, so my influences were very different. But I remember reading Modern Drummer magazine and learning about some other guys. And then I just watched a documentary about this guy on Prime, Randy Castillo. Played with
well known
Ozzy and Motley Crue for a while. Yes. What do you guys have any thoughts on it? I was impressed. I had never heard a lot of his playing, but I knew his name. It's just the level of artistry that he was bringing to that in that era was just outstanding. I was like, I don't hear this name thrown out a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked him, but to me, like the Ozzy drummer that was the drummer for me was Lee Kerslake, and really Tommy Aldridge. And there's a great documentary out right now about Lee Kerslake. And if you guys haven't seen that, it's on Tubi. You can watch it. But I mean, cool story. But those two, to me, when I think of Ozzy drummers are, and he was just sort of like the fill-in guy. I mean, he was good, but he was like there during the era of Ozzy that to me like wasn't my favorite, era
Gotcha.
of Ozzy. It was kind of very commercial, and I don't know. Yeah, well regarded drummer though by a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a word. It's even if you're like, for me, like I wasn't familiar with his breadth of work, but I was like, I love documentaries about musicians. I just think they're fascinating. So, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there and make a recommendation for a good documentary.